Hey everyone, I'm Jessica, and I am excited to talk about a solo game that I have been playing through for the last couple of weeks. Granted, I'm very slowly going through a campaign of it, but that game that is actually surprising for me is Hogs of War, the miniatures game. And if you are familiar with this is based on a PlayStation 1 game from back in the day, which I did not play. So I did not get this because of that property, but because I wanted a war game that would be a little kind of lighter than some of the more serious war games that are based on real wars that happen in battles and people who died and everything. Awesome types of games, but not always for me. So that was why I picked this one because, again, the cover kind of indicates it's pigs or hogs that are flying or on tanks and battling it out. So I got this, again, really to just kind of get into war games a little bit and have something that I could get to the table and not have to get into sort of that serious historical mode and learning experience, which is awesome for what war games offer. Again, this though is about pigs going to war and having battles. I thought it was going to be this very kind of light sort of game that was just funny because again, there are all sorts of units. You have your grunts, because a pig grunt, of course. And there's all different ones. So there's like your medic or your orderly. You've got an engineer. And I do like these sculpts, by the way. They're funny and they're easy to tell apart. You also have some vehicles that might enter the battlefield, which are fairly standard, but that's a plane, but you know what's flying that. That's a flying pig. And there's an airship, there's other types of tanks. And I've been going through because this includes, there's an expansion for it, I should say, that has a solo campaign in it over 5 different missions that are sort of interconnected. And I've been playing through it, again, figuring that it was just going to be sort of this light sort of experience. It's not, this is the Team Lard solo campaign. Again, it's not too long, not too lengthy. But what I've found is that this is actually a pretty great strategic sort of tactical scenario-based game. Again, I don't have a good angle to show it set up, but just as an example of the first mission, that's what the whole entire board is going to look like. So, big map. And you have all different objectives for these missions. So I again figured I'd just be like mowing down some pigs and just moving them off the battlefield because they're dead, but not dead because this is just pigs having some fun out here. But I have been learning more about different sort of wargaming tactics, and it's been interesting because it's, again, not a super serious sort of game, but there is a robust sort of system there. It did take a bit to learn the rules. The rule book has what you would expect in a war game. I mean, this is 27, 28 pages of a lot of stuff. You have different terrain that's going to be out there. Let's grab one. There's terrain that's going to go out on there. So that might provide some cover bonuses, or there might be lakes that you can't actually cross unless you have an aquatic unit. And I have just been kind of surprised by what this offers. Because again, didn't think it was going to be anything but sort of a fun, silly sort of game that I could play solo or play with my husband. But there's a lot of cool stuff in here. So again, the campaign book, you're playing over 5 different missions, which starts you off very basic, just kind of ground combat. That's about it. But I don't want to spoil anything. It starts off saying you're not going to use a lot of components in the solo mode, which for me, I was like, oh, that's kind of a shame because I don't get to use all these cool things. But as you go through the campaign, the missions actually introduce more things that you didn't think would be there, and kind of get progressively more difficult because you're adding in a lot of different layers. This is one of the things that I really enjoy about games that do this, which actually sort of get you into the game through sort of tutorial scenarios, but in a way that they're not tutorials. Meaning that you're learning as you're playing, but you build on a foundation and kind of add different things to it. So start with ground units, add a tank in there. Maybe you'll add some aerial units or something cool like that. And throughout the whole campaign too, trying to see if it has it in here. But you're keeping track of your hog tags, which actually will tell you how well you did at the end of the mission based on what tier you fall within. So there's a timer for every mission. You typically start at the top of the victory point track, which is 12 points, but that's really telling you have 12 rounds. There's some ways to gain back some more victory points, if you will, or time, so that, if you knock out an enemy tank, you got some more time to get to your objective points. But it's just really neat the way that this works. And not to spoil anything, but there's a cool thing that may or may not be in solo where you actually build an airship out of different parts. Am I explaining these the right way? I am. You can see it a little bit if I don't drop the cards. But there's different types of parts, so you can kind of see. Let's get that one in the right direction. I got it. It's under control. My airship. It's this one that's upside down. Got it. No problem. But you can kind of see how that one is built. There's different parts of it. And they have different actions and abilities, and you can fly over the battlefield. And it's just really fun. I picked up what is this even called? The Deluxe edition, I think, which has, for some of the points of interest, like this is a minefield, don't go near it. But it has different sorts of actual miniatures that go out there. So you have like trenches that you can go into and guns and everything to kind of protect everything. But it's an interesting sort of game that I did not expect to like. And my next mission has a carrier pigeon in it, which is just neat and really different and unique. And I'm getting to the end of the campaign, and I also want to try something out because in the rule book, there is a standard campaign that comes with the base game, but one of those missions is actually solo friendly. And one of the things that is not utilized at all in the Team Lard solo mode is base building, which actually gives you access to different units. So you'll start off with most of the units available to you at the start. And if you go around the battlefield and pick up crates, you can get some upgrades. So for instance, I have a flamethrower that is attached to my bombardier unit, and that just kind of flips underneath there or kind of stacks a little bit. So now I have more abilities for this unit when they're out there. So more options, and these persist between missions. So this is another cool element of this campaign, that when you pick up crates, typically you have a choice between either getting, again, one of these upgrade cards for a specific sort of unit, or you can get more hog tags, because the game is over if you lose too many hog tags. If you're at 0, you didn't do well. Campaign's over. But yeah, I have been having a blast with this. I am through 3 of 5 scenarios so far, and the last 2 look awesome. I'm very excited to play through them. And the other reason why I'm excited about this is because, you know me, I have Calico critters that are pigs. And I have been adding these little ones into the game as I'm playing. The funny thing that I actually found out, though, is that some of the comments say that the planes, let me grab them real quick, they fit on these acrylic stands that come with it. So they kind of go like this, and it's not that easy to show up here, but it kind of, you can see it sort of dips down in the front, and some people have reported that they're really easy to knock over, they're not really robust, and I said, uh-oh, it's not good, but I did a test. So I've actually, again, I can't really hold, let's see how well I can balance this. I had this guy hang out on top to see if that would hold, and it did. And then I said to myself, why don't we test the balance and everything, and let's have a disaster. This little plane can indeed hold him. He has to sit in a very precarious position, but it holds. So I have been having a blast with that on the side, because with my solo reports and sessions and everything, I like to do kind of fun with photography and board games, and I usually include my Calico critters. So having the pigs around has been a lot of fun, and I think this game has just been really interesting. Again, this is the campaign book, and it doesn't really, it's not overly complex. Like, this looks like a lot of text, but a lot of this is setup instructions or how the solo opponent acts. So for instance, they will have their units that look like this, and they will always be defensive, or this can flip to aggressive. Sometimes they're special, and there's the last one. But cards will come out during the recruitment phase or the deployment phase, and that will usually give them a special ability or flip something or deploy all different types of units all over the battlefield. So I am not one who plays war games that much, but Hogs of War, the miniatures game in this fairly large box with all that shininess, has been really, really fun. So I am now looking forward to playing some of my more serious war games, which again requires a little bit of a different mindset. But I am getting into the tactics and the strategies and figuring stuff out and dealing with terrible decisions like running into a minefield. It's happened. It won't happen again. So that, again, is Hogs of War, the miniatures game, talking about solo. Thank you so much for watching, and take care. Bye.